Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
Hello students, I am Jitesh Gola and today we are going to start with Unit 3 of Class 11th main course book. Here we are going to do the discussion over the learning objectives of this Unit 3. In the learning objective here, within this unit we are going to learn about how to apply the sub-skills of reading. The different techniques we are going to discuss here, whether it is going to be skimming, scanning, to enhance the local comprehension skills. So these are the different techniques that we will learn to use while we are reading. Clear? We'll also learn about writing an essay. We'll write a formal and informal invitation and the replies also. We'll also learn predict, infer and deduce while listening, and we'll learn to know we'll learn to maintain the flow and the control the direction of conversation while speaking. So all these are going to be the learning objectives of Unit 3. Let's proceed to the exercise. Here the first one, we are taking the warm-up exercise that is based on reading and writing. What is to be done here? With the help of the teacher, this warm-up activity will be conducted. Each student should get a copy of the day's newspaper. They have to work in pairs for this activity. They have to decide between them that how they want to divide the paper. Means the part of the newspaper will be divided among the two students. For example, one of you could take the first half and the second half. You can divide the newspaper into two parts. The first part can be given to one student and the second part can be given to another partner. Or you could divide it by sections also, like sport, editorial, international news. According to these sections given in the newspaper, the division can be done. Once the paper has been divided, each student should go through the pages allocated to them. So when you have done the division work, the paper according to the part or according to the section you have divided, what you have to do, you just have to go through the pages that you have received. You have to go through that, you have to get the idea what the news or what the things are mentioned on it. And you have to write down at least 5 questions based on those pages. Then separately you have to write down at least 5 questions based on those pages. Students can be given 5 to 8 minutes for making the questions, and 5 to 8 minutes the time period you would be getting just to framing the question. So this is the activity that you have to do based on the newspaper, where you are trying to get the idea quickly, because only 5 to 8 minutes you would be getting to skim or scan the newspaper and find out that what is given, and based on that you have to frame the questions on your own. Then there should be a rapid fire quiz, with each student asking his or her partner the questions and telling them which page to look for each answer. The person being quizzed should look up the answer quickly in the newspaper. The one is going to ask that where this particular information is given, and the another one is required to find out that in the given newspaper, and they have to write it down. In the end, the student who answered the most questions correctly will win, and the one who is going to give more responses to the questions being asked to them, they are going to be the winner of the game. Once the quiz is over, have a class discussion on which type of question required skimming to find the answer and which took scanning. So then when the activity is over, all the students are going to do the discussion with each other that what were the different questions where they applied this technique of skimming, where only the main idea was required, and this also just to get the information, the scanning technique was adopted or used. Clear? So this is one activity, warm-up sort of activity that we have taken based on your Unit 3. Let's learn. The another part we are going to continue is reading. You have learned that we use different sub-skills to elicit information or to get a better understanding of the text that we are reading. So when we are trying to use that, different skills we are using at that time, depending on what the purpose of reading is and what kind of question need to be answered. We have already discussed in the previous unit about the different reading techniques, whether the intensive one, skimming, scanning or the extensive one. So it depends on the text, that what is your main purpose of reading the particular text or the content, that which particular technique you are going to apply there. Two reading techniques in the particular help us to cover a vast amount of text rapidly, and this skimming and scanning, if we talk about, these are the two main techniques which is helping us to get the vast amount of the text rapidly, and here we'll talk about the different methods of applying these techniques. Clear? So the first one we are taking skimming. This is one of the reading technique. This is useful as a pre-reading activity. Skimming is when before reading you are just going through the text and getting the idea that what it is related to. Clear? For reviewing or revising what has already been read, and for reading material where details do not matter. So in two cases you can use this skimming. In the first one, when you are just revising your thing or reviewing something. Clear? When you have already read something and after that you just want to do the review, you just recalling all the things once, so that skimming will be done. Or in the second case, when you want to read that where the details are not that much required. In that case also the skimming can be used. Different steps are there that we have to follow for skimming. What are these? Read the title. We have to read the title of the given text or the story if you are reading. So title you need to read. And look for the context clue that either answer the questions who, what, when, why, how, or are proper nouns. Then after that what we have to do? Title is also going to give you little bit hint that what the text is going to be about. And then beside that you have to find out the answer of these questions, that who, what, when, why, how, and other proper noun present in that particular text you have to find out. Read the introductory passage, the final passage, and subheadings to gain an overview of the entire text. This is one of the important technique. We can say that when we have to get the idea, then most of the information in the first para, that is the introductory para, or in the last para, that is going to be your final passage or the concluding paragraph is given. Most of the information is given there, or if the different subheadings are provided, you have to just go through that also. You have to go through those headings also just to get the overview about the entire text. Clear? So depending on the reason why you are reading the text, you have to apply these given or the discussed techniques. The next one we are taking scanning. This is used when we need to locate specific facts or the pieces of information from a lengthy piece of text which we need not necessarily understand or need to read. So, scanning. What is the meaning of scanning? While we are using it, when we need to locate the specific facts or the particular information, only the scanning sort of thing we are doing, we are looking for those particular keywords only, which we need not necessarily understand, but other than that, we don't have to pay more focus on the text given in that. Only some information we are looking for, and with our eyes we are going to do scanning. Then eyes as a sense organ are going to play very important role in doing this scanning. Here the steps when scanning are given here. Let your eyes run rapidly over the text. So instead of using your finger and writing the text given there, you have to use your eyes. You have to run your eyes rapidly or quickly without focusing on reading each and every word. Keep in mind what information you are searching for. So keep your focus on the particular thing, that what you are looking for, what you are searching for, you have to keep your focus on that. And try to predict what form that information will be, and then try to find out if particular information you are looking for, that might be in the form of either the text, number, any date, etc. So that totally based on your requirement. Clear? When you find the sentence that appears to have the answers, read the entire sentence carefully to avoid deliberate attempts to mislead you. To avoid deliberate attempts to mislead you. To avoid deliberate attempts to mislead you. Clear? Here what is required that when you are reading these and somewhere you got that particular fact or the answer you were looking for, what is the next requirement? That you have to read the sentence carefully. It should not be like that in hurry, by mistake, you just got that hint and you selected the wrong answer. No. Appropriately, just need to, when you have done the skimming, this is the technique we are following, but when you got your answer, you have to keep little bit focus over there. You need to pay little bit time over there in finding whether the correct answer you have opted or not. Clear? This is very useful skill for competitive exams. In most of the competitive exam, if we talk about exam of CAT or MAT, for aptitude test, we consider these. These are playing very important role. These techniques are playing very important role, and scanning is the part of that, where all the information is not required, only the required important specific information you need to scan for giving the answer to the appropriate, where you need the appropriate or the specific information for giving the answer to the questions. Clear? Now, these two techniques we have discussed. Now, we are going to take up the exercise based on the same. Let's practice reading. Skim the story below and answer the questions that follow. Here, we have to pay attention here. What is the title of the story? We have to read that thoroughly, and then we have to use which particular technique we are going to use here. Before reading that, again would like to remind you that you have to go through the questions first. Just have the idea, just look at the questions and get the idea that what particular questions they have asked. So it will be little bit more easier for you to use these techniques and then find out the appropriate answers to your questions. Clear? So now let's start with that. The Boy Who Became a Hornbill is the title of the story. Once there was a boy whose parents had died, and he lived in the house of some relatives. But the man and his wife constantly ill-treated him. When he went with the other young people to work in the fields, the women would give him inedible food, so he was ashamed to share with the others. Here, inedible means not fit for eating. Clear? So that kind of food was served to him, was given to him, and he felt ashamed in sharing it with the others. Two girls who were fond of him would wait every day till he had gone to wash and then throw away his bad food and make a parcel of good rice and jus from their own store. Jus is a sort of starch, rice starch, you all must be aware of. But every time he declared it was not his and would not touch it, for he guessed what had happened and was ashamed. So, the two girls were there, those who were trying to help him out and would like to used to replace his food with the good one, his bad food with the good one, but he never had that, declaring that it does not belong to him. And somewhere he was ashamed of this situation. One day he asked the girl he liked best for her skirt and her breastcloth and the neck of her jus guard, and when she had gladly given them, he scrambled up to the roof and then higher in a tree, and sitting there he became a hornbill. Then one of the girl he asked for the different thing, her skirt, breastcloth and the other the neck ornament, and he reached to the roof and became a hornbill and cried out harshly as hornbills do. When the girl saw what had happened, she began to weep, for she loved him very much. Before flying away, he told her that he would return and let fall on her the very best of his tail feathers. So, before leaving from there, that boy who turned into the hornbill promised that he will come back and will give her the best tail feather to her. A long time later, after the girl had married, she heard the sound of the hornbill's wings overhead, and she left the house and sat outside. As she looked up at the last hornbill in the flight, the bird let fall the finest of its tail feathers, and it floated down and landed between the girl's breast. The cruel woman who had mistreated the little boy also ran out, hoping to get some tail feathers, but all that came down were the bird's droppings, and they landed right in her eyes and blinded her. The girl kept the feather and treasured it, and she and her husband had great good fortune and had splendid crops and became rich. So this was the story. Hopefully it is clear to each and everyone. When you were reading this story, questions you have already gone through. So the question they have asked, what is the story about and what is the moral of the story? So when after reading the question you gone through this story with the scheming technique or scanning technique. So hopefully you all have applied the technique of that. Scheming is the one technique that we can follow here. With the help of that, we can try to find out the answers of the question given here. The first one they have asked, what is the story about? So we can say that after doing the scheming of the story, we get to know that story, we can mention the story is about a tragedy that befell an orphan, which is to happen something. Befell here means to happen something by fate. Befell an orphan and the compassion of two girls, and the compassion of two girls who always tried to help that orphan boy. Then the second question based on the story they have asked, what seems to be the moral of the story? According to you, what is going to be the moral of the story? Here the first one, Hornbill will always return to give their tail feathers, although this is the part of the story and he came back. Second, they have given kindness is repaid with good and cruelty is punished. Then the boy became a hornbill because he was unhappy and the girl loved him. So, moral of the story, that some lesson that we are learning from the story. Obviously this first and the third one is ruled out. Only the option B is going to be the correct one, that is kindness is repaid with good and cruelty is punished. So option B is the correct one. Now next move to the second part of this unit, in which question number 2 they have asked, you have to scan the passage and answer the question that follow. In the previous one we did the skimming of the passage and we found out the answer. Here we have to do the scanning. Scanning means before proceeding with this reading part, just get the idea about the questions, that what kind of questions they are asking, where they must be asking about some data or digit or something like that, information they would be asking for. That's why the scanning they have asked us to do. So, well, now hopefully all have gone through the questions once. Now we are going to start with the reading of this passage with the help of the scanning technique. Here, let's start. The title is given, The Human Computer. It was January 1977. Dr. Myron Ginsberg of Southern Methodist University in Dallas, Texas, had just heard of a computer that could determine the 23rd root of a 201 digit number. It was the UNIVAC 1101 at the National Bureau of Standards, Washington DC, and the makers claimed that no human mind could outclass it. So this was the invention done of related to this UNIVAC 1101, and it was challenged that no human mind could outclass the calculation done by this computer. After the required preparation, the instructions were fed into the computer. The computer lived up to its reputation and delivered the answers in 62 flat. Here, while we are doing this, mainly, although we are doing the reading here, but what you have to keep focus when we are using this scanning techniques, you have to mention here, January 1977, UNIVAC 1101 at National Bureau. They are talking about how much time it was taken, 62 second flat were taken. Then we have to talk about answer of the query was given in 1 in 58 million. Computer and better record. And then the another part we are looking for, took 50 seconds to give the answer. She had bettered the UNIVAC computer. And somebody was there who was able to break the record of that, and that was by 12 second it is. Indians all over the world proud to know about that. And who was that? Shakuntala Devi. Then on 18 June 1980, the Imperial College 13 digit numbers were used. She arrived at the answer. The answer was given by her in 28 seconds. With this feat, she made it and then her name was recorded in the Guinness Book of Records. She continued to amaze student teachers alike by calculating the cubes and cubes root. Born Tuesday in the year, even this is one of the characteristics that mentioned. She recite all the Tuesdays in the year or less than a single minute she can mention about that. Name of a day for a date in the past or future, taking in account the leap years also, the calendar that changes accordingly, she is able to mention about that. So all these are information that we have collected through scanning. Instead of reading the whole passage, we just keep focus on the data given or the main information provided here. Clear? So we'll go to the questions now that has been given based on the same. First one, who is the human computer of the story? Who is the human computer of the story? So we know very well that we have already found Shakuntala Devi is the human computer. Second, name the computer in the passage and where it was located. So name of the computer, it was given in the beginning of the passage only, the first para, that was Univac 1101, and where it was located, the name of that place is also given here, that is National Bureau of Standard in Washington DC. It is given there. Clear? Then the third one, who dictated the sum to the human computer and how long did it take him to read it out? So the second one they have asked in question number third, they have given the two parts. Who dictated the sum to the human computer? So who was the one who dictated? That is Mr. Myron Ginsburg. Mr. Myron Ginsburg is the one who dictated that. And how much time, here they have asked that how much time was taken by him to dictate that question. That was around 4 minutes were taken. Question number 4, how long did she take to solve the sum and by how much time did she better the computer? So here we can say that again the two parts they have asked. The first one, we can mention how much time she took to solve the sum, that was around 50 minutes were taken, and by how much time did she better the computer? So we can mention she bettered the computer by 12 seconds here. Clear? So this is the answer of the fourth one. Two parts they have asked in the question number 4 and we have given based on our scanning technique. We followed the scanning technique and through that only we are getting these answers easily. When and where did the subject of passage enter the Guinness Book of World Record? So we have to mention when and where. So we have to mention on 18 June 1980, and where did the subject of the passage, that was at computer department, of Imperial College, London. There it was recorded. Clear? Next, name one amazing act of the human computer. What is another one amazing act that we have already got to know in the last paragraph of the given passage? So we can say that one of the amazing act of the human computer was that the multiplication of 13 digit number. You can mention those digits after referring to the passage there. 13 digit number within 28 seconds. Within 28 seconds. So it is going to be the one of the amazing act of the human computer. So hopefully you all are clear that how you have to follow the different scheming techniques and the scanning techniques and need to find out the answers to the given questions. Now we are moving to the next part of that. Here they have asked you to read this passage and answer the questions that follows. Again, before proceeding with this passage, you have to decide which technique you are going to use, and Along with that, you have to go through the questions first so that you are getting the idea and keeping your focus on the particular keywords which you have to look for within the given passage. Clear? So, let's start with that. Harbin, aptly called the Ice City. Ice City makes the most of its winter with the Harbin Ice Lantern Festival. At the Glittering Ice and Snow World, one of the 5 exhibition areas in the festival, huge ice blocks are carved into sculptures, palaces and pagodas and lit from within with fluorescent lights in electric blue, pink and several other colors. Harbin's location in the northeast China accounts for its Arctic climate, which provide abundant natural ice and snow for the sculptors to carefully chisel away at and create everything from restaurant to Buddha's statues. The largest composition is more than 100 feet high and 600 feet wide. So whatever the information is given here, we need to keep focused, like 100 feet high and 600 feet wide. More than 30,000 cubic meter of ice is used for the festival each year. So this is also the data we need to keep focus on. The inspiration for the ice and snow sculptures here usually is derived from traditional Chinese fairy tales or world famous emblems of architecture such as Great Wall, the Egyptian pyramids, etc. These ice replicas, however, will not stay for any longer than 100 days. This winter wonderland comes to life in December and ends in February. So this information also you have to keep in mind. Through the skimming, you have to get the idea about that. These sculptures are set across a large park area just north of the Songhua River. Giant blocks of ice are formed from the river, hauled to the site and built to replicate world landmarks. When the temperature is well below freezing point, getting lost in this maze of ice is not a good idea at all. This wondrous annual event pulls crowd from across China and visitors from overseas. So this was the passage given to you, and very quickly you have to do the reading. This was the practice we were doing, that's why it was taking time. Otherwise, when you are going to attempt these, so very quickly you have to follow the techniques of skimming and scanning, and you need to just get the overview of the passage given to you. Clear? Now, we are going to attempt the questions based on that already you have had the glimpses of those questions, and now we are going to read it out again and we'll find out which is going to be the particular answer for the given questions asked. The first one they have given the ice and snow world. The first one, the ice and snow world, is the name of. So we have to find out which is the appropriate option out of these 4. So we have to find an annual exhibition held at Harbin, an exhibition center at the Harbin Ice Lantern Festival, or a traditional festival of Harbin, a grand bazaar of sculptures of Harbin. So according to the passage, if you remember the information given there, an exhibition center at the Harbin Ice Lantern Festival is the correct answer. Next one, which of these inspiration for the sculptures have been borrowed from a different civilization? So we have to mention whether it is Buddhism, pyramids, Great Wall or fairy tales. So according to the passage, option B is the correct one. So hopefully most of you are going to get the correct answer side by side when we are doing the practice of that. Make sure that all of you are also marking the answers. The third one, the festival lasts for. The next one, the festival lasts for, whether it is a month, a fortnight, a year or a 3 months. So we can mention the festival lasts for option D, that is 3 months. It's the correct answer according to the passage. The next 4th one they have asked, snow is here blank while ice is this. So according to whether it is snow is soft while ice is, so here we are doing the comparison, so this will not go. Warm and hard also will not go because snow cannot be taken as warm. Soft and solid and fresh and still, this will not go. So option C is the correct one, that will come. Snow is soft while ice is solid. Clear? Now the fifth one they have asked, what is the source of the ice used to build the snow and ice sculptures? So what are the different sources we are using? What is the source of the ice used to build the snow and ice sculptures if we talk about? So the answer will be, from where we are getting that? So that is the river. The name of the river we have to mention. That is Songhua. Songhua river is the correct answer. The next one, what is the main idea of the passage? So the four are given. Out of that we have to select the most appropriate one. Winter wonderlands cannot last for very long. The Harbin Ice and Snow World is a fantastic exhibition. Ice sculptures can be made only in the Arctic region, or Harbin is famous throughout the year because of this festival. So the most appropriate answer based on the main idea of the passage is going to be option B, that Harbin Ice and Snow World is a fantastic exhibition. Next one, write whether the following statements are true or false. So based on the passage we have to find out whether the given statements are true or not. Only natural light is used to showcase the sculpture. That is false. It is not the case. Harbin is located in the northeast region of China. That is true. According to the passage, you have to refer the passage also if you are not getting the idea right now. The largest composition of ice are not taller than 2-story house. That is also false. Winter descends on Harbin from December to February. That is true according to the passage. The next one they have asked, find a word from the passage that mean the following. A decorative casing for a light. So that we know that we call it as a lantern. Clear? A Hindu or Buddhist temple typically in the form of many-tiered tower. So here if you have to refer that particular word, you have to find out, you have to refer the passage for that, and that word is given pagoda given, which is a Hindu or Buddhist temple. Then existing in large quantities, that is the word from the passage we have to find out, it is abundant, in excess when we are talking about. Cut or shape something with a long bladed hand tool. So that is chisel, that word is also given within the passage only. Then a thing that serve as a symbol of a particular quality or concept. So that is emblem, clear, representing the particular as a symbol of something. Exact copy or model of something, usually on a smaller scale. So that is going to be replica. Replica of something or the copy of something. So hopefully these questions are clear to each and everyone. The different passages we took and we followed the different techniques of reading, and that include skimming as well as scanning, and based on that we attempted the questions given here. So hopefully it is clear to each and everyone.